Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Erin. By the title of the video, you guys can probably already guess, but I am going to do a full face of my least used makeup in my collection. Now, these are items that are either like in some of my more bottom drawers, just in like storage, or these are items that I really didn't like a whole lot, but I wasn't going to declutter them yet. But these are just all items that I hardly ever use. So just for funsies today, I'm gonna pop all of them on my face and see what kind of look we can come up with. So if you want to see me use my least used makeup in my collection, then keep on watching. I do already have some serums on, but I am gonna go ahead and pop on some of the Tarte Drink H2O as my moisturizer. I do like a more gel moisturizer. I don't even know if you guys can see this in the cap, but it is a gel because they do dry down faster. And this gives you a nice dose of hydration. I just never reach for this, and I don't know why, because it is one of the minis. I should just reach for it and be done with it. But we will see how this does underneath my makeup today, and we'll let it dry down for a second while I drink some coffee. All right, so that has soaked in. It is still quite tacky, and that's almost kind of promising that it's going to help hold on to my foundation. But let's go ahead and go in with primer, and I am going to be using the Becca First Light Priming Filter. This is just one of the sample tubes. I seem to get a lot of these like backlight or First Light priming filter samples and things. And so, but I don't ever use them because the backlight primer is very illuminating, and I feel like it doesn't do a whole lot for the longevity of my makeup. But when I've had my makeup done in Sephora before, they did use this First Light priming filter on me. So I'm curious to see how this is going to work out as well. But I am going to give this a few seconds to set into my skin. All right, so that has soaked in, but I am still very, very shiny. That did take down the tackiness a little bit of the Tarte moisturizer, but now I'm gonna go in and do some color correcting. So I have the Becca Under Eye Brightening Concealer right here. Again, this is one of the little samples that came in with some other Becca products. Now, the reason I don't use this a whole lot is because it's very creamy and it is very brightening, but it ends up not looking good under the under eye. So I'm just tapping a little bit where I have my dark circles, and then I'll blend it out with my beauty blender. I don't necessarily have a blending sponge that is like my least favorite, because pretty much if a blending sponge doesn't work for me, it goes out. So, and I wanted to kind of, even though these products are ones that I don't use a whole lot, I wanted to give them the best chance of being good. So I figured I'd go in with my beauty blender. So, I mean, you can see it did brighten my under eyes, but my issue is when I start putting other stuff on top of it, it just doesn't look that good. But we will see at the end of the day how all of this looks. So next, the foundation that I'm going to use is actually a BB cream. So this is the Rimmel BB cream in matte, and this is the light shade. Now, during the summer, I do use BB creams a whole lot more, but after I ended up getting the It Cosmetics CC creams, those are what I gravitate towards more. Even though this one is matte, I think I remember this one making me a little bit more oily than I needed to be. So, but again, I'm trying all these out because I haven't used them in so long that maybe they are good. They've just been buried in the bottom of my collection. But it is a more runny formula. I put a little squirt on my hand, so I'm going to go in with my beauty blender and we're going to lay down a layer of this BB cream. All right, so that is the coverage with one coat. This does do a pretty good, sorry, my husband's working outside, so the dogs are gonna be barking at him. But I do think this does a really good job as far as coverage for a BB cream. I'm quite impressed remembering kind of what this product is doing. Some of my breakouts are still coming through. I am still very shiny. Again, this is supposed to be a matte BB cream. So we'll have to see that once I set it down with powder, or once it dries, does it dry down matte? This is a little bit maybe of a darker shade for me since I do wear this more in the summertime, especially for being the light shade. It is a little bit tan. So we will have to see what it ends up looking like when I set it down with everything else. So I have two concealers to use. I have the NYX Got You Covered Waterproof concealer here, and then I have the Wet n Wild, what is this one? This is the Photo Focus Concealer. This one here is in Ivory, and this one is in Light Ivory. I did pick out two concealers because really I don't use either of these. But this one is not a concealer that you're going to want to put all over your face because it is that thicker consistency. So this one will be my under eye concealer, and then this one will be the concealer for the rest of my face. So we'll go ahead and pop these on and see how they blend out over this BB cream. Alright, these products are supposed to be fails for me, but beyond being shiny as hell right now, this blended out beautifully. You just have to warm it up in your fingers and really warm it up before going in with your beauty blender because it is such a thick consistency. This here, it's a little bit sheer for what I like, and it's a little bit actually dark for like the brightening concealer shades that I like, but it did blend in beautifully. These are supposed to, maybe this is supposed to be like a rediscovering products video because so far these have not been fails for me, but I just am not reaching for these in my collection. But let's move on because the powder that I'm going to use to set everything down, this is the powder that in a couple videos ago, whenever I tested out the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation, I thought that I hated the foundation because of this powder. So this is the Flower Beauty Loose Setting Powder, and this is in Translucent. Now, I remember I bought this a long time ago because Casey Holmes started raving about the Flower Beauty powder, but she was raving about the light powder that had the tint to it, not the translucent. And I think that's where I kind of broke down with things, but let me see if I can open this and show you the powder without it going everywhere. I mean, the packaging is beautiful. It has this matte finish to it with the rose gold accents, but this is the inside. It is a very finely milled white powder. I mean, it's translucent, but when I put this on my skin, it just made everything look dry and crepey. So that is why I kind of put this powder in the bottom of my collection and was like, maybe if I needed like the last powder on earth, I would maybe use this one. But since everything is looking quite good right now, let's see what this powder does, not only to set down that shine, but to lock these products in, and we'll see if it still looks crepey or not, if my first impression, second impression of this is still what I'm thinking. Again, I'm gonna go in with my beauty blender and tap into this powder, and so right away you can see that under eye is mattified. My dogs are not happy with my husband raking the yard. They think that somebody is coming in here to hurt us or something. And that's the old dog that's barking. She is 13. Oh, now they all heard me talking about them. So you guys can tell, I put powder on the middle of my face, none on the bottom, none on the top. It does do a very good job at mattifying. We'll go ahead and lay powder down on the rest of the face as well. All right, so I have powdered my face, and what I will tell you about this is that the under eye still is not looking extremely dry, but the under eye is looking dry. I do have it already caking around my like nostril folds over here. So it's not the best powder out there, not something that I'm gonna reach for all the time, but it did mattify everything, it did set it down, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw on the other face products and see how the powder has locked in my foundation. For bronzer today, we are using an e.l.f. bronzer, and this is one that I recently hauled, but this is the one that has the 4 quadrants of different colors. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of this one because I feel like with this darker color down here, it really does make the bronzer a little bit too dark for my skin tone, and I like to bronze with a big old fluffy brush, and it's hard to avoid that quadrant over there. And so I'm gonna go ahead and dip into this. I can't remember if the last time I used it I felt like this was patchy or not, but let me go ahead and pop some of this on my face and we'll see how it goes. So that went on all right. Looking in my big mirror here, it does look a little bit patchy on this side. I mean, I think that you guys can see it. I think it's coming across camera how it's a little bit patchy in through here. I'm gonna see if I take the powder again, if I can carve out that cheekbone on the bottom, see how this acts when I'm doing that. So I just tried blending everything out again with my dual fiber brush, and I'm still feeling like it's a little bit patchy over here. Like I feel like my splotchy redness, that's what it looks like. And I don't think I want a bronzer that looks like splotchy redness. So this again, I was hoping that this would be like a dupe for a NARS something or another, just because the packaging really reminds me of NARS bronzers, but I just am not reaching for this. I don't think that it goes on well on my skin, so let's move on to blush. If you saw my BoxyCharm video a couple months ago, then you will remember this palette right here by Real Her. It comes with these 3 blush shades. I wasn't really impressed with this blush formula because they are very dry. They are that domed baked product, but let's see here. What do I want to use today? I think I want to go into the Fearless shade right here and do a little bit of a pinky cheek. So I just have a Wet n Wild brush and I'm just tapping into that, and we'll see how this goes on. The shade that I picked in here, Fearless, it is absolutely a beautiful shade. It does have some shimmer in it. I don't ever reach for blush palettes because the way that my drawers are set up, I have little containers inside the drawers, and this just doesn't fit into where my blushes go. So I put this at the bottom of my drawers and I just never used it. But these are some beautiful shades. I think I just need to pull this back out and move some stuff around and try to use this more often, because that blush shade is just gorgeous. It added that little bit of flush to my complexion, and I feel like it almost evened out some of that bronzer over there, just adding a little bit more color to that. So we'll go ahead and move this up into my drawers so I can try to use this more often as well. So now usually in my makeup steps I go on to eyes, and I'm going to be using the Photo Focus eyeshadow primer from Wet n Wild. I didn't like this because I felt like even though I would blend it out and try to set it, it still like clung weird to different parts of my makeup, and my eye looks just did not look seamless. But this is kind of that like creamy type eyeshadow primer, so I'm going to warm it up in between my 2 fingers and put this on my lids to see what I can get going. So you guys might be able to see, but it is sticking weird in different places. And this is probably a very intense eyeshadow primer that you just put on your bare lids. But I do put concealer and things on my eyelids because I do have a lot of veining that I need to hide. And this just sticks weird to everything. Like, that is horrible. I might need to take a makeup wipe to my eyelids. Let me do that and I'll be right back. All right, now that I've completely like ruined everything around my eyes, I do have bare eyelids now, so I'm gonna try this again and put it onto bare eyelids and see if I can make it work that way. This is why this stuff went in like the throwaway pile, because it seemed to just, if it gets on any of your makeup outside of where your eyes are, it's like glue. And I guess that's what you want for eyeshadow primer, but for people that don't necessarily do their eyes first, I can see how this would basically just ruin a makeup look. So I did go ahead and I tapped it onto the bare skin where my eyelids are. And the palette that I'm going to be using today is the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea Volume 2 palette. And we ended up getting this in a BoxyCharm, and I know there's been a lot of like hate around this palette, and I can see why. It's not the best palette in the world, but I'm going to take the cream shade in this palette and just go ahead and try to set down that eyeshadow primer. So that cream color shade did set down nicely and it stuck to that primer, and so now I feel like I have a good base to go ahead and start the rest of my eye look. Now, it's kind of weird because like half of this palette is like these warmer browns and then half of it is these cooler grays, but I'm going to go ahead and just take a big fluffy brush and start laying down a transition shade. Alright guys, where's the pigmentation in this? I am literally like digging my brush into this thing and I'm getting like no color payoff whatsoever. I don't know what to do with this. Maybe if I use a smaller brush and get more detailed in there, that'll be better, but I don't know. I've never had to work so hard for so little color payoff. Never. Oh, but I have a little bit of a crease and transition shade laid down, so I am just going to go ahead and finish up this look. There is a couple of like shimmery shades in this, but this shimmer shade right here, I am going to use... What do I want to use? So I think I'm going to pack that shade on with this little Wet n Wild concealer brush. I do have some of this Tarte Rainforest of the Sea spray, so I'm just going to use that as kind of like Fix Plus today to see if that will intensify this shadow a little bit. So my brush is wet and I'm going to go into that shade. Don't even know if it's picking up anything, but we will see what goes on to the eyes. So that did lay down some shimmer, but literally guys, I am doing this. I am digging into this shade to get any sort of color onto my lids. I don't know what the formula of these, or if the formula of like volume 1 or volume 3 are any better, but this is just horrible, guys. Just think if this was like your first exposure to eyeshadows and you had to try to do a look with this. I mean, I would get so turned off and so frustrated. So after really digging into that shade, I did get some shimmer to go ahead and lay down. Now I'm going to go back in with my smaller brush and that transition shade and just kind of blend that out a little bit. I'm going to try to go ahead and put some of this in my lower lash line as well to see how that blends out. Like literally, I'm getting like nothing on my brush, y'all. There is like a highlighting shade in here, so we'll go ahead and see how that looks on our inner corner. So maybe the one thing this palette has going for it is this highlighting shade right here, but I might have to actually just go ahead and declutter this one because I don't need it taking up room in my collection if this is pretty much the only eye look that I'm ever going to get from it, because I'm not really into those like dark grays and dark navy blues, but yeah, there's a reason that this sits in the bottom of my collection. So for eyeliner, I have Beauty For Real, and this is just a black eyeliner. This is one that I ended up receiving in a BoxyCharm, and I mean, it was already like split. I don't even know if you guys can see that the product in here was already split. It is very, very creamy and black, but I'm just not a fan of this type of liner. But I will go ahead and just pop this in my waterline and maybe smudge it out on my upper lash line as well. So that is eyeliner on. I did just do a tiny, tiny bit on the upper lash line and just kind of smudged it with my pencil brush. I'm not really a fan of using eye pencils to do my upper lash line. I like to do that with a liquid liner better. but as far as it in my waterline, it's not the blackest black. It is already kind of moving a little bit, so I'm curious if this is going to just end up underneath my lower lashes today. Our mascara today is the Lash Princess by Essence. Everybody was saying that this was the dupe for the superhero mascara from IT Cosmetics. The wands are very, very similar, but my issue with this is that it transfers onto my lids. Now, I guess that means that I have oily lids. The formula is nice, the way that it applies is nice, but I just can't have a mascara in my collection that transfers up onto my lids. So if you have oily eyelids like I do, then you might want to avoid this one, but we're gonna go ahead and pop it on today and see how it looks. So that there is 2 coats of the Lash Princess. It is a wetter formula. You do get a ton of product on the brush, and so I usually always get a little bit of transfer onto my eyelids that I have to end up cleaning up, or when my lashes touch up here onto my eyelids, then I have to clean up there a little bit. So it is a wetter formula. Just be forewarned about this. I mean, this is a cult classic, and if it works for you, then that's wonderful, but it does transfer on me, so this is something that I really just don't ever use. I'm gonna do brows next, and I have the Makeup Revolution brow pomade, and I bought this and I was looking at it as a dupe for the Anastasia dip brow, but my issue with this is this is already dried out. Like, it was dried out from brand new. I don't know how to necessarily get this to work for me. So I have my angled brow brush here, and if I dig into this product, I want you guys to see, I am literally digging in here and like hardly anything is coming out. Like, that's all that came out. If I dig in like that with my Anastasia, I'm scooping it out like ice cream. And so this, I don't know if this is necessarily just the drier formula of it, or if mine was just dried out from the get-go. But I'm gonna try to put this in my brows and see how we can make it look. All right, so that's some of that pomade in my brows. Now, what I don't like about this too is because I can't dip into it and put, you know, the product on my hand and work from that, I have to keep this open all the time to dig in there, and that dries the product out even more. Since it is a thicker consistency, of course, it does hold the brows very nicely, but I don't want something that's already dried out. I don't want to necessarily mix an oil into that to get it to kind of be creamier. I don't know if it's supposed to be that hard, but if this is supposed to be a dupe for the Anastasia dip brow, then they need to work on their formula if this is truly what their formula is like and it's not dried out like I think it is. But I'm just not reaching for this because it's just, the more I have this container open, the faster it's going to dry out, and then I'm not going to be able to use it at all. Now, I don't have a brow gel that is my least used because I pretty much only use the NYX Control Freak, so I'm going to go ahead and set down my brows real quick, and then we will move on. So I'm going to use a little bit of setting spray to set down my makeup before I do my highlight and my lips. This is the Cover FX Illuminating Setting Spray. The bottle's very, very iridescent, so it's probably going to wash out in the lights. But this one has glitter in it, and that's what makes it illuminating. So I'm going to go ahead and shake it up, and then we're going to go ahead and spray it on my face. And I'm sure you guys can guess why I don't use this a lot, because I do have an oily skin type, and so putting even more iridescence, glow, and glitter on my face when my oils come through might look really, really bad, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to go for it. That mist is so fine that I almost don't feel like anything was spraying on me, but looking up in my mirror, I am a shimmering goddess right now, we'll put it that way. And it's gonna get even better from there because I have the Artist Couture loose highlighter, and we did get this in our BoxyCharm as well. I used this a couple times and then it ended up in the bottom of my drawers because as I texted to my friend my friend loves this highlighter. She also got it in her BoxyCharm and she loves it. But I was like, it makes me look like a stripper. I don't know what it is, but I feel like a lady of the night. We'll put it that way when I wear this. If this works for you, then absolutely fantastic. I'm glad you can wear this, but it just makes me, But we're gonna put it on my face today. So I have a little bit in the lid here. That's about as much as I need. Hold on, let me do a little maybe a little finger swatch for you guys. I mean, it doesn't even show up really on my, I mean, you can see that little bit of glow iridescence right here. So it is a gold highlighter and it's loose. And I think that's what threw me off about it. So I went ahead and I have some on my brush, tap some of that off, and we'll see how much more glitter I can add to my face today. And see, I don't know if that glitter is, or if that shine is from the setting spray or if it's truly from this highlighter. But this is literally putting glitter all over your face. Just straight glitter. So yeah, you guys can see that shine, but that shine is glitter. So I guess that's what you get with a loose highlighter. But man, if I went out into the sun right now. All right guys, so now I am just basically caked in glitter. After the glitter from the setting spray and then the glitter from the loose highlighter, it's just glitter central up in here. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna take my dual fiber brush again and maybe just kind of try to control where all this glitter goes. But there's glitter in my brows. There's glitter in my eyelashes. Oh man. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to lips and finish this look up. So this is a lip liner that I received in a subscription box of some kind, and it's Jaune Bleu. But it is this kind of like nice, what would I even call that? It's like a brownie wine color. It is a lip liner that you have to sharpen, which aren't my favorite because I feel like these are a little bit harder than what I like, which is a more creamy format. But we're gonna go ahead and put this on my lips and see what we can do to get them lined. See, I even had to swatch it on my hand to get it going. All right, so we have our lip liner on. It was getting caught in the glitter from the highlight on the top lip and got a little bit chunky, and I did have to go back in with my hand and like restart the pencil. So I don't have time to have to fuss with a pencil. But the lip product that we're putting on today is one of the NYX Intense Butter Glosses. I picked this up in Toasted Marshmallow. Now I do love the formula of these, but I just felt like the color of this one is a little bit too dark to be a gloss, and it might just transfer everywhere. But we're gonna go ahead and pop this on the lips. All right, so that is our lip color on. Again, I just feel like when glosses are this dark, you end up having to spend so much time to perfect them. It's not a gloss that you can just throw in your bag and retouch throughout the day without looking in a mirror. I do have another NYX Butter Gloss, and this is in Tiramisu, and this is a perfect pinky nude that you can just throw on without a mirror and not have to worry about it. But since these are glosses, they're going to rub off. You're going to have to reapply, and this is one that just would take too long to reapply throughout the day. I mean, the color is beautiful. It's that nice dark kind of like wine berry color, but it's just not something that I have time for during my day. All right, so this is our final look using makeup products in my collection that I hardly ever use. I want to do a quick little recap just to tell you what some of my new impressions are since I have used them again after so long. This Wet n Wild eyeshadow primer, it is very sticky. It does its job, but you have to do your eyes first. If you have anything on your lids before you put this on, it'll look like garbage. So do your eyes first with this. And that's what I'm gonna try maybe in a couple other like little, you know, makeup to music type videos that I like doing. I might go ahead and use this again, but make sure to do my eyes first. This will basically transfer by the end of the day, but I'll maybe like put in a snapshot of a picture of what this makeup looks after a couple hours. The eyeliner pencil is just not really up my alley. It's already come off of parts of my waterline, so again, this is probably going to be a toss for me. I'm going to put this blush palette back into my collection so I can try to use it more often. The Tarte eyeshadow palette is going to probably be in a declutter, so that is going to go. I did like reusing the Becca under eye brightening, but my blueness has already come back through. So if you have a lot of issues with dark under eyes, this is not going to be your ultimate solution to that. Even though it looks beautiful when you first put it on, it does not last. I mean, I've maybe been sitting down here for 45 minutes doing this and it has not lasted. My blueness has already come through. This is not necessarily the shade that I need for this. I might pick up another one because these are so affordable and see if I like it again. I'm going to start using the NYX concealer more often. I did think that it went on beautifully. I just have to see if maybe like the combination of these two is what made it not stay where it needed to stay. Powder's gone. I still don't like it. I still look very, very dry, and I already have like my lines coming through. The bronzer, I still feel like it looks patchy. So again, this is, I'll try it a couple more times to see if I can make it work. The pomade for my eyebrows, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'll have to see if it's really supposed to be that thick or dry of a pomade. I have re-fallen in love with this. It looks beautiful on my skin. It's that, I mean, I don't feel tight, I feel hydrated, and so I'm going to have to retry this one, maybe more towards the summer if my shade gets a little bit better. The primer, I don't really know yet. I'm so glittery right now that I don't know if it's all the glitter or this that is just making my skin look very alive and like lit from within, because let me tell you, if you want glitter face, these two right here, glitter face all the way. But overall, I like the look that I came up with. I just don't like that I'm covered in glitter. If I went out, if you guys don't know, I'm a social worker for hospice. If I went out with this look is fine, but let's say that I walk into your house and your family member is in the process of passing and I'm like glittering like I just came from a festival. To me, that's not professional. And so that is why I don't really incorporate those into my looks, because I can't look like a disco ball whenever I go out during work. So I'll go ahead and do a snapshot at the end of the day to show you guys what my face looks like, and I will insert it right here. What do you guys think about how it turned out? I can't tell you because that's future Erin and this is present Erin. But that is all I have for today's video. Leave me a comment down below if some of these are your favorite products, or if you guys kind of feel like I do with these products not really working out for you. Everybody has different skin types, everybody has different preferences, so what I don't like, you may love, and that is okay. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you like this style of video. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you next time. Bye!